It didn't go exactly according to plan, but the Celtics get a clutch win. Jayson Tatum hits a game winner. That's good. Let's just celebrate it on a bonus Lockdown Celtics podcast.
Beantown, be ever ready. Recognize the city of champs. Back to back, if I say it, it's stamped. Locked on number 19, the best one, the next one. Juice loose in your pool now for the next run. It's the C's, who else could it be? What they gon' say now? Screaming like JT, Karalis, recap the madness. Every game, every practice. Best daily pod, no cap like Brad Beckett. Clutch like Drew to KP, tap in daily. Prime time, dapping D White on the sideline. Raining J's, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners.
Hey there, welcome back to the Lockdown Celtics podcast. It's right here on the Lockdown Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. I got you covered every Monday through Friday with a free, fresh podcast that drops directly to your device. Bonus podcasts like a weekend, a Friday night where they play the New Orleans Pelicans. So it's a Saturday. Happy February to everybody. Here's a bonus podcast for you. So if you're subscribed, you would already know this. You'd get this drop directly to your device. You can watch the show on YouTube, get into that comment section. Let me know what you're thinking about the Boston Celtics beating the Pelicans 118-116. So later on, individual performances, I'll get into the whole Trey Murphy thing, which is just another wild outlier, crazy career best performance from a player against the Celtics. Let's just start at the top. Celtics close out. They get a clutch win. We were just talking about the Celtics are not great in the clutch. Their clutch numbers won't exactly be great in this one, but they held on. They won, and that's the most important thing. Joe Mazzulla said it after the game. It's one of those games where if you lose, you feel bad. If you win, you feel good. So we feel good. And okay, that's great. I'll get to the lost the lead part in a second because that is a legitimate, like the fact that it was this close, legitimate. The Pelicans were without no Brandon Ingram, no Zion Williamson, no like half the team is out. Poor DeJounte Murray, tore his Achilles tendon early in this game. You knew it right away. He knew it right away. I knew it when I saw it. You could see it. You could almost see the thing. I don't even want to keep going with that. It's unsettling to me, but his season is over. That'll last into next season. So the Pelicans were decimated. I will say they played hard. The Celtics, I don't think the Celtics made a ton of mistakes. Like, this isn't the Toronto game. The Pelicans played really well. They played really hard. Trey Murphy went nuts. 3 3-pointers or 4 3-pointers in the first quarter. Well, let's see. I got it right here. First quarter, he was 3 of 5. So 16 points in the first quarter. And as Joe Mazzulla said after the game, it was a bunch of transition, kind of trailing 3-pointers that they kind of lost them and he got going early. And then that just carried him through. He never stopped making 3-pointers. Ultimately was 8 of 12. I mean, how many of these nights you're going to have? You had 10 of 15 for Dillon Brooks. Trey Murphy's a good player, so scoring 40 is not out of the question. 8 of 12 is a ridiculous number no matter what. So the Celtics had to overcome some of that stuff. Jose Alvarado had too good of a night. But however they got there, they got there. In the final minute, the Celtics forced a 24-second violation, and hallelujah, Trey Murphy actually missed the shot. I mean, the one that he hit with a minute and a half to go or so, he missed that one wildly as well. Like, don't tell me he tried to bank that in. That was just the crap luck that the Celtics had, that here he was, everything was going in. That's just plain old dumb bad luck, because he missed that terribly, and he missed the one at the end of the game there with 50 seconds or so left terribly. It's just that one of them, the angle was right and it banked in. So the defense steps up. They force a 24-second violation. You come down, you get Jaylen Brown. He hits the fadeaway, 33 on the clock. So good, 2 for 1. You have yourself an opportunity. You come down, you go up by 2, you give yourself a chance. McCollum comes down, he's going one-on-one against Derrick White. Totally fine with that matchup. Totally fine with how that went. He didn't burn Derrick White. He just hit this really tough fadeaway. CJ McCollum's a good basketball player. Derrick White's a good defender. That's a tough shot. McCollum hit it. Okay, fine. Tie game. Celtics go without the timeout. They don't let any subs out. So Tatum gets a left elbow jumper. Not the easiest shot in the world, but not a step back three. That's a bonus. Wasn't a step back three. Wasn't some kind of, whatever like Tatum generally likes to do. He gets himself into a spot, a spot where he should be hitting those shots with some regularity. He hits it, 0.2 on the clock. There's nothing that the Pelicans can do at that point but try to go for some sort of lob, which they couldn't. It could never materialize, and the game is over. So the final minute of that game, in the clutch, in a situation where the Celtics have not performed well, they performed well. So starting with the absolute positive, congratulations to the Boston Celtics for winning a game that they have been losing in the recent part of the regular season. That's important, right? We're looking for signs. I know people want to be pissed about the lead, losing the lead and all of that stuff. And fine, be pissed. Sit there and make your sarcastic comments in the comment section if you want to be like, oh, congratulations. I put a short up, my instant reaction to the game. And, there's already congratulations. You beat like the JV team of the Pelicans by 2. And I get it. You can make those comments, but also we're looking for signs of the Celtics turning things around. Winning a game that you have been losing is a positive step forward. Now you want to get to executing. That's important. But for now, you take the little baby steps that you can get. It's another win. The Celtics have the best record, best road record in the NBA. That's a positive thing. So you can trust the Celtics to win on the road, stringing wins together, multiple wins together. That's important. Now you go to Philly. Philly, who knows who they're going to have, what they're going to have. So that's going to be an important game. And then you get the Cavs game on Tuesday, which is a huge game in terms of standings. So maybe the Celtics can get a little bit of a winning streak together here. This is a good step. This is a good step forward, even though, yes, they lost the lead, even though, yes, they probably should have won this by a little bit more. But I'll get into that. We'll get into the lost lead, all of that stuff when I come back. This is a message from sponsor Intuit TurboTax. Taxes was waiting and wondering and worrying if you're going to get any money back, and then waiting and wondering and worrying some more. Now Taxes is matching with a TurboTax tax expert who can do your taxes as soon as today. An expert who can give your taxes their undivided attention as they work on your return while you get real-time updates on their progress so you can focus on your day. An expert who will find you every deduction possible, file every form, every investment, everything with 100% accuracy, all so you can get the most money back guaranteed. No waiting, no wondering, no worries. Now this is Taxes. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live full service. Real-time updates only in the iOS mobile app. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go download or sign up for, keep saying download, sign up for our new Celtics newsletter. Go to LockedOnDaily.com, click on the Locked On Celtics logo, enter your email, and you will get Monday through Friday a newsletter delivered directly to your inbox Celtics, NBA, fantasy coverage, all in one place. If you miss a podcast, this is a great way to keep up with it, to see what the tone of it was, and maybe you want to go back and circle back on it later on. But check it out. Links to great Celtics coverage around the web, all at lockedondaily.com. Click on that Celtics logo, enter your email. Then when you get the email, open it up, read it, enjoy it, have fun. So the Celtics could never really push this lead out past into double digits. The largest lead they had was 9. And look, some of it is I think they defended somewhat. They defended well when Porzingis was on the floor, especially early on. Some of it was the bench. The Pelicans bench outscored Boston's 40. What was it? 43 to 27. That's unacceptable. When a team is shorthanded, I can understand when a team is shorthanded that some of the guys that come off the bench will start and they will still be good, but that bench shouldn't be giving you 43 points. That's a problem. You had some bad luck, right? You had bad luck in, Trey Murphy. 8 of 12 is a ridiculous number. I don't care. 8 of 12 is a ridiculous number. And the rest of the Pelicans, not like anybody else, went nuts. The best shooter, well, I mean, you got a 1 of 2 in there, but Alvarado took 9 and only hit 3. CJ McCollum, the guy you would expect to hit some shots, was 1 of 7 from 3. Trey Murphy, 8 of 12 is outrageous. I mean, it's not unprecedented with him, but it's still an outrageous number. I don't know why the Celtics keep giving up these monster performances to various guys. I don't understand it. I just don't understand it. You see guys get good looks all the time in the NBA. And yeah, Trey Murphy stepped into a few good looks, and yeah, he felt good. But all of a sudden he turns into LeBron James or, Steph Curry. You're like, okay, sure. I guess this is happening now. So that's just an ungodly heater. It's not like, people love to say, oh, why don't you just defend him? Like they were defending him. He hit some crazy stuff. They started throwing some double teams at him down the stretch, which, was good. He had a few turnovers there. He ended up with 4 turnovers. So when it mattered the most, they went after him to take the ball out of his hands, and that worked. It was good. But you had some of that. You had just some weird shooting, bad luck with that. Again, some of it's their own fault. They gave up too many second chances, points in the paint. They gave up 50 points in the paint. That's not something that they have been doing much with Porzingis back. Even though the second chance points was even at 6, too many second chances in general for the Pelicans, who had 10 offensive rebounds to Boston's 5. Celtics need to do a better job getting more of those opportunities. They gave up 90 field goal attempts to their own 84. So even though the Celtics shot better, the Pelicans had more shots. They stayed even with the Celtics in 3-point shooting. Boston hit 16. Pelicans hit 15. Boston just made their, was able to make up the difference in free throws, even though they didn't hit as many free throws as they should have. 18 of 26. They had 6 more free throw makes than the Pelicans, who also did not shoot well. They were 13 of 19, 68.5%. This is like a high school game. 69% for Boston, 68% for the Pelicans. I will say, though, the Celtics, 32 assists on 42 baskets is great. That is really, really good. The ball movement was really, really good. So that's fun to watch. But make your free throws, and maybe you start to pull away. Defend that bench a little bit better. Like Alvarado, just don't lose Alvarado. Maybe you start to pull away a little bit. Turnovers. Now, the Pelicans had 20 turnovers, 26 points, but the Celtics had 13 turnovers. And it wasn't even that they gave up a lot of live ball turnovers, but illegal screens, stuff like that. Momentum killers. They just couldn't get the the momentum there. Every time it seemed like they were going to make a run, the Pelicans would hit a three, the Celtics would set an illegal screen, something weird would happen, and that just kind of kept the Celtics from running away with it. Kristaps Porzingis was really good defensively, especially in that second quarter. I thought he had the numbers back him up. On top of the 16 points, he had 4 block shots and 3 steals. But early on in the first quarter, before he even got a single block, I thought he was defending the rim. Lots of those plays where he's just a deterrent, where he's guys can't get a shot off. They just pass out of a drive. They decide not to drive at all. He had a bunch of those. So I thought that was that he had a really, really good defensive game. But even offensively, 5 of 12 shooting, 2 of 7 from 3. You make one more 3-point, and there's one, I think it was in and out. One hit the front rim. So he was right there. You hit one more, all of a sudden it's 6 of 12 shooting and 3 of 7 from 3. And now you're shooting 50% from the field and 40-something% from 3. But 4 of 8 from the line for Porzingis. Jayson Tatum, 3 of 5. Jaylen Brown, 3 of 4. Each of those misses comes in the fourth quarter. Jaylen's miss comes in the fourth quarter, 4 minutes to go, somewhere in there. Jayson misses 1. Kristaps misses 2. Hit those free throws, and this is less of a conversation about, like, why did you blow the lead? If the refs could call a goaltending, I don't understand how does every player on the floor see it and the refs not see it? That's what I want to know. But okay, fine. They don't see it. Now, you know what? I'm not going to say, okay, fine, because one of the glaring NBA ref weaknesses, not just in this game, but across the board, NBA refs have trouble seeing goaltends. How many of these goaltends just get missed in, every night, every other night? It feels like you see a goaltend that should have been called and wasn't, or was called and shouldn't have been. And if this had been called, well, first of all, if it had been called, it would have been correct. But because they didn't call it, they couldn't review it. Even though it was a dead ball, even though Kristaps Porzingis got fouled, that was clearly, especially when you looked at the replay, very clearly a goaltend. You can't reach through the bottom of the rim and poke a ball out. So I don't understand why the league can't just review that. It's a dead ball. It's a free throw. Just go look to see. What's the harm? There was already a delay while everybody was talking about it. So just go to the monitor and do it. I know they're not allowed to, so they couldn't, but I don't understand why that rule exists. If it does exist, Joe Mazzulla had a great point after the game. If it does exist, just call it. If there's a 50-50, like, oh, I don't know if that was a goaltend, I don't think so, but unless you're absolutely 100% certain, then just call it so you can review it. Call it, review it, and then you can be like, oh, nope, I was wrong. But if you call it and you were right, you're like, oh, phew, all right, we got the call right. So just call them all and then review them, which is a crappy way to have to go. But because that's the system, that's what you got to do. You can't let these things, like, it didn't cost you. So the refs kind of get let off the hook a little bit, but that was critical. And Porzingis ends up missing 2 free throws. He should have made the 2 free throws anyway. It shouldn't have mattered. And it didn't matter. Ultimately, the Celtics won the game, but it's just tough to see. Like, how do you miss? How do half the people on the floor see it, and 3 of the refs don't at all? But still, make your free throws, and this becomes an even less of a point. The Jays, by the way, come through. I should not have waited till 20 minutes into this podcast to talk about that, but a combined, 55 points for Tatum and Brown. Jayson Tatum hits the game winner, 27 points, 10 assists, 10 of 21 shooting, 4 of 10 from 3. 6 rebounds, a steal. He did have 5 turnovers, a couple of bad ones down the stretch. He needs to be better. This is where the poise comes in. The Celtics need to be better in those situations. Like I said before, I'm fine with the win and the clutch execution in the final minute. But now the next step is a little bit better poise. Let's not have those turnovers down the stretch. Tatum was the culprit in this one. Jaylen Brown was great. 28 points, 11 of 18 shooting, 3 of 6 from 3, 3 of 4 from the line. That one missed free throw is just could have been a killer. But 5 rebounds, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. Like I said, the 1 turnover. I thought Jaylen Brown, 4 assists. That easily could be double that. At the very least, if guys had hit shots, I thought in the first half, especially, Jaylen was slinging. Man, he was having one of his best passing games of the season in that first half. It just, shots weren't falling. Again, some of it is luck, right? Jaylen went out there and played great. He was making the right reads, the right passes, make miss league type of stuff. If the Celtics had made some shots in that second quarter, 12 of 26, 4 of 14 from 3, 28 points. They held the Pelicans to 19 in that quarter. And yeah, they got some separation after losing the first quarter by 3. You win the second quarter by 9, but you could have won that second quarter by 19, right? If you just hit a few more shots, Jaylen was finding guys, and they weren't all hitting. Porzingis missed a couple. Jaylen missed a couple on his own, but Pritchard missed a couple. Hauser missed a couple. Hauser got going later, but if Pritchard and Hauser and Porzingis each just hit one of those, then that's 9 more points, and all of a sudden you win that quarter by 18, and that's a much different game. So we can say, why didn't they have a bigger lead? But they made plays in the second quarter. Jaylen Brown was making plays in the second quarter where that could have been extended. So instead of going into halftime up 6, they could have been up 15. And a 15-point halftime lead feels a little bit different. And then they played the third quarter even. But at that point, if it's a 15-point lead, do the Celtics come out and play the same way? Do they defend the same way? Does Trey Murphy get the same shots? I mean, again, Trey Murphy in the third quarter had 11 points, 4 of 4 from the field. 2 of them were threes. And he had 4 assists on top of that. If maybe the Pelicans offense runs differently and he doesn't hit those shots, and you can extend that lead in the third quarter. So many dominoes if a couple of shots fall earlier. So this is another classic. If Joe Mazzulla was here, he'd be like expected versus actual and all of that stuff. Hey, I mean, you only get what you get. You hit the shots that you hit. My point is, I understand the screaming about why wasn't the lead bigger? Well, it should have been bigger. Guys just miss shots. And sometimes you just miss shots. They missed shots early on, and that cost them. Fourth quarter, they lost their poise, but they got it back. Derrick White was really good. He had a big second quarter, I believe it was. 3 of 3, 7 points. They took away one of his steals. He had a good stretch. I don't know what it was. It looked like he had 2 steals, a layup, a 3-pointer in that like very impactful, like his most impactful 2 minutes of the game. So D White was good. Overall 3 of 6 shooting. So another 50% shooting night for Derrick White. When he does that, Celtics don't lose. Luke Cornett was good off the bench. Sam Hauser ultimately hit some shots. He missed those 2 that I talked about earlier, but then hit 3 of his next 4. That's the story of the game here. I'm skewing positive. I'm gonna keep it positive. I'm gonna keep it light. I think I've given the lost lead its appropriate coverage. The next step is being better and not letting it get to that. But I choose to look at it as in a 22, 21 game sample, whatever it was, of them blowing leads and soiling themselves and losing games like this. I will take them blowing a lead, soiling themselves, then cleaning themselves up and winning a game like this. Now you move forward and hopefully do better next time. So that's where I am. Take the win when you can get it. Don't be complaining about a win as much as some people I think want to. Just enjoy it. Enjoy the late game execution, and hopefully it carries over. That's all you can do. And look, Celtics are still one of the best teams in the league, and they're starting to come out of this funk that they're in. They are, let me pull up the standings, still 5.5 games behind the Cavs. They play the Cavs on Tuesday, so between now and then, maybe they get to 4 by the All-Star break, which is not a bad place to be. And they still have another game against the Cavs coming up. So overall, I'll take it. Thanks for listening to this bonus podcast. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you are watching on YouTube. If you are, thank you very much. And if you are willing to, I would love it if you shared the podcast and told everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.